The long-time draconian and autocratic president of Uganda, talking about Yoweri Museveni, has just been declared the official winner of Uganda's presidential election. This announcement was just made a couple of minutes ago, today the 16th of January 2021. We're going to watch the full video right now, but please, before you do that, I want to thank all those who have subscribed to our channel, and please, for those who are yet to do that, subscribe and Elohim will greatly bless you. We highly appreciate all of you. Thank you and God bless you. Please, the subscription is free and it's very important. Thanks.
Uganda's Electoral Commission says the longtime leader Yoweri Museveni has officially won a sixth term as president, extending his 35 years in power. Officials announced their final results just moments ago. And according to their tally, the 76-year-old won 58.64% of the vote. His main challenger, Bobi Wine, won nearly 35%, but alleges the election has been rigged and says soldiers are preventing him leaving his house.
Candidate Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, having obtained the highest number of votes in the election, and the votes cast in his favor being more than 50% of the valid votes cast at the election, the Electoral Commission declares Yoweri Museveni Kaguta elected President of the Republic of Uganda.
Catherine Soy joining us from Kampala. So many not really surprised that Museveni has been declared the winner. Talk us through the results and the reaction.
Well, absolutely. Not many. This was widely expected. President Museveni has been leading with a wide margin from the very start. And the voter turnout was 10 million of the 18 million registered voters. That's 57% of the total registered voters. Now, Bobi Wine, you mentioned him there, has already rejected this result. And joining me now is his representative here at the Tally Center. Thank you very much, Benjamin Katana, for joining us. Are you going to sign the declaration form?
Thank you very much. We can only sign this declaration form if we are allowed to put our reservations on the same form, because tomorrow when we take other measures, we do not want them to say that we are not at the Tally Center. Because we have been here, we have observed what has been happening, and we'll receive the results. If we are allowed to comment and indicate our reservations about the whole process, then we can sign but indicate those reservations.
What reservations do you have about the process, especially this tally process?
The entire tally process has been conducted in a very dark and it lacked transparency. We, from the beginning, were assured by the Electoral Commission that each candidate or their agents would receive copies of the results from the district before they are transmitted to the National Tally Center, so that we are able to verify when they are reading here. That was not done because, first of all, internet has been switched off, but we are not even given a hard copy. So the entire process here has been reduced into a ritual where we sit and the commission reads fabricated figures without indicating they are from which polling station, from which district, but they only read that this one has this percentage, the other one has that percentage, but they do not show us where that percentage has come from, which we contest.
Bobi Wine has rejected this result. He says that he has evidence of widespread rigging in favor of President Yoweri Museveni. What evidence does he have? He hasn't shown journalists that evidence.
We, first of all, have had agents across the country. Many of them were arrested on the polling day. Others were chased away from the polling station. However, through some of the agents who stayed at the polling stations and the vigilant citizens, we have been able to collect results from across the country. And at an appropriate time, we'll be announcing them to the people of Uganda. What is being announced here is an attempt to undermine the will of the people of Uganda. The consent to govern must be obtained through a free and fair election.
And what are you going to do next? Are you going to go to the Constitutional Court to challenge this?
The legal framework in Uganda gives us a number of opportunities and options through which we can contest this unfair process. And going to the Supreme Court is one of the options. But like our leader has mentioned through the campaign, we look at this election as part of a revolution to liberate the people of Uganda from the yoke of dictatorship that they have endured for the last 35 years. There are several options, and we undertake to provide leadership to the people of Uganda to pursue liberation, and we ask them to stand firm and work with us to explore all the options under the legal framework of Uganda to make sure that we stop this coup.
The options that you're talking about, does that include calling people to come out to the streets to demonstrate?
And we don't have to call them. It is their will that is being snatched. So Ugandans have a right, if they feel that that is one of the ways through which they can express their discontent, they have a right to do so, provided they are doing it in accordance with the law. And I think in preparation for this rigging, you saw the massive deployment and show of force on the streets of Kampala and other districts of Uganda. It was driven by the guilt of the incumbent, who has undermined all state institutions, and in a process like this one, they are all working in a partisan way on his side. So the intention has been to intimidate the people of Uganda so that when this rigging takes place, then they are not able to come out and express their dissatisfaction with the manner in which the process has been conducted.
Bobi Wine says that his house has been surrounded by the military. We've seen that as well. But he also says that he's not been allowed to leave, and visitors and journalists are being blocked from accessing his compound. What do you make of this? Have you talked to him?
I spoke to Bobi Wine a while ago, and I can confirm that his movements are restricted. He's not allowed to leave his home, and visitors are not allowed to enter, which in effect indicates that he's under detention, house arrest, and his home is not a gazetted place of detention, which is illegal in itself. And it also shows that part of the scheme to rig and undermine the democratic process is take away the leaders, keep them away, intimidate the citizens, switch off internet, censure the media, which they have done effectively. That's why no local station now can go and interview Bobi Wine.
Security officials that I've spoken to here are saying that the reason they've done that, blocking access to his home, is because he wants to announce a parallel result. He wants to announce that he has won the election.
Security agencies in Uganda, you need to understand, have been undermined. They are partisan, contrary to the constitution of the Republic of Uganda. They are partisan, and they have been doing politics on behalf of Mr. Museveni throughout this process. Therefore, their statements have a context, and the context is that they want to aid him in carrying out a coup against the constitutional process.
All right, thank you very much. That was Bobi Wine's representative here at the Tally Center, who says that they reject this result. And in a few hours, we're going to be hearing from the president himself, Yoweri Museveni, who's going to be addressing the nation.
Okay, Catherine, we'll speak to you as and when that happens. Thank you very much for the time being. Catherine updating us from Kampala, Uganda. Let's bring in Agnes Gito, who's the managing partner at Africa advisory firm GBS Africa. She's joining us from London. Thanks very much for your time. So the representative of Bobi Wine was just telling our correspondent, Catherine Soy, that Museveni is trying to basically undermine the will of the people in Uganda. And with the opposition and Bobi Wine's party claiming fraud and rejecting these elections, what happens next? Are you concerned about the potential risk for post-election violence?
Thank you very much, Doreen, for having me. Look, no surprises there. Another term for Museveni. He joined the ranks of African leaders who've been in power for over 30 years. Potential for political instability and protest would depend on what the opposition party does now. They have already contested this election, saying it was marred with fraud and irregularities. So it's what Bobi Wine and other opposition leaders do. The steps they take, if they use the legal process, the legal framework that is in Uganda, there's a likelihood that there won't be violence. And what we saw yesterday, Ugandans went to the polls, queued for long hours, showing that there is some sort of belief in the democratic process. But in every African election, it is what happens once the people have voted, how the election commission sort of carries itself in determining the winner. But there are no surprises there, as Catherine says. It's another term for President Yoweri Museveni for Uganda.
So what will the opposition do next? From your experience and your monitoring the situation, what are their options?
So the option will be just using the legal framework that is available. That's the only and peaceful solution they have. However, Jaren is saying that they have lost the presidential ticket, but in the constituencies, in parliament, there are new faces. Incumbent like the vice president of Uganda, who is a longtime ally of President Museveni, has been in power in parliament since 1994, has lost his parliamentary seat in his constituencies. Other key cabinet ministers, including ministers for trade, ICT, state minister for agriculture, they've all lost their parliamentary seat to young and visionary leaders. To me, that is a win for Ugandan people. Hopefully they bring a voice and leadership into Uganda's parliament. I think presidential ticket has been lost, but I think they should look beyond that. How can they effect change from parliament?
And if there is any sort of instability in the country, how will that affect the region and the countries surrounding Uganda?
Uganda is an important country for the region. It is highly connected with the DRC, South Sudan. President Museveni is the guarantor of peace for South Sudan, for example. The northern part of Uganda, the northern corridor, is a key transit route for trades and goods across the region in East Africa. So therefore, instability in Uganda is likely to impact the region. And again, Uganda is a key trade ally for Kenya. So yes, the region would prefer a peaceful and stable Uganda, and instability in Uganda obviously causes havoc across the region.
All right, Agnes Gitan, we thank you so much for speaking to us from London.
Thank you.
Germany's ruling party has elected a new leader. Armin Laschet has been chosen as the new head of the Christian Democratic Union. That makes him the top contender for chancellor in elections later this year, as Angela Merkel steps aside after 16 years in power.
I'm
aware of the responsibility of this job.
I also want to appreciate all the citizens for voting for change. I have no doubt in my mind that the vast majority of you Ugandans voted for change yesterday. It was indeed a protest vote against General Museveni's murderous regime of blood and national shame. Now, General Museveni, aided by Mr. Byabakama, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, other state institutions, and shamelessly some media houses are trying yet again to usurp the will of the people of Uganda. The people of Uganda voted massively for change of leadership from a dictatorship to a democratic government. But Mr. Museveni is deliberately trying to paint a picture that he is in the lead. What a joke. Last night, even before counting was completed in some districts, NBS television started broadcasting results showing that General Museveni was leading by 63%. Following a clear script, they hosted biased individuals and lend credence to the outright broad daylight robbery of the people's victory. I want to remind all the media houses and other corporate companies and citizens that the citizens are watching, and all of you who are participating in this conspiracy to defeat the will and victory of the people of Uganda will certainly face the consequences of your actions.